I was going to bartend shirtless at this spot. I ended up getting
drugged and raped. I never told anybody. And the only way that I saw forward was to die.
Like, I didn't know how to be a man. I performed in England in theaters in front of 10,000 people. They would have like a theater that was full of people and they'd have a live
orgy.
But if a man would look me in the eye and shake my hand, messed me up.
Why is that?
Because I felt like you saw me.
Because you don't just go from, I got a girlfriend in high school to, I'm an adult film star.
I'm going to say something heavy.
That's what they're here for.
So
how has Satan tried to rise up in this new marriage that you have with your past?
A girl looked at my wife and said, how do you not wrestle with comparison, knowing all the people that he's been with? How does that not bother you? She just said, well, I choose not to speak to myself the way that Satan does.
That's powerful.
There was a time in my life where there was an HIV outbreak, and I had had unprotected sex with someone who contracted HIV and died. And
this is The Deep End with Lecrae.
All right, y'all. I'm excited about today. So a lot of people have heard my next guest testimony in different platforms and so on and so forth. I mean, if you haven't heard, you know, comes from a small town in South Carolina, like literally 3,000 people, you know, moved to Hollywood to chase his dream of being an actor and became a very prominent adult film star. He found emptiness and all of that and ultimately found Jesus. But I think what a lot of us appreciate about Joshua Broome is that he is willing to talk about the stories and the things that people typically don't talk about. People in the adult film industry have been mad at him for it. People in the, you know, in communities all over the world have been set free from some of the things he shared. And man, he just unpacks it in a healthy way, in a way that I think, you know, blows your mind, because there's some questions you're like, yo, I can't believe he answered that. And he does. And there's some deeper underlying things that I think we forget about people in all types of places in society. So he's now an incredible pastor, a leader, father, husband, all the things, and just a man after God's own heart. So Joshua Broome, man, we appreciate you being here, bro.
hey, I'm so glad to be here. It's an honor.
No, man, honor's mine, bro. So for anybody who does know your story, right, you grew up in South Carolina.
Yeah.
You, small town.
Yeah.
Product of teenage parents.
Yeah,
right?
so my mom and dad were both 15, and you know, they weren't dating. They just, you know, they did their thing, and then here I am.
So, and then you're growing up, you know, you're not knowing dad.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's a father wound, major father wound there. But in my mind, I'm like, you're a young, strapping, attractive dude. You're like, I can act, I can model. So you go where everybody goes.
Yeah.
You go to Hollywood.
Yeah.
And when in Hollywood, you kind of get tricked into becoming an adult film star.
Yeah.
You end up doing it. It takes off. Over 1,000 movies later.
Yeah.
A lot of trials and tribulations.
Oh yeah.
And you meet the Lord, and now you are unpacking all of this stuff for people. So I want to understand more of like who Josh was and is.
Yeah.
Not so much like, oh yeah, he did this, he did that, he did this, but like what made this man the person that he was? Because a lot of times when you see adult film stars, we don't think of them as dynamic human beings who somehow they got here. Right. And how did they get here?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I want to talk a little bit about that. I know some of your story and I relate. And a lot of it is that origin story of a father wound.
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with my biological father. He went to war with drugs and lost.
Yeah.
And was no longer part of my life. I met him again for the first time in 2021.
Oh wow.
And you know, it created in me a lot of pain, a lot of poor decisions, a lot of trying to figure out who I was and define who I was. And I know that's similar to you. So I'm just curious, like, you're in the same town as your dad growing up. You're watching him through a window. Like, talk to us a little bit about the situation.
Yeah, so my mom, she worked at this restaurant, her whole life.
Yeah.
And it was, one of those, you got to meet in two sides type of spots. And I would sit there after school and I would look out this window and I would see a green Z71 truck pull into this convenience store, and a young man would get out, an older man would meet him out there, and they would say hello. He would go in, get some snacks, come out, and the name of the store was Rogers. And Roger was my grandfather, but also my dad, and he was a junior. Mm-hmm. And so I would look at the grandfather and the father that was across the street at the life that was in arm's distance, but I didn't know what his voice sounded like. So the complexities of what doesn't make sense to you, you have to make sense of.
Yeah.
And the way I made sense of it was, I must be, insignificant. It must be my fault. And, as a man, you have a high achiever personality. So if you're doing things in the name of the Lord, doing things with excellence, working hard, utilizing your gifting, that's amazing. But if you believe the lie that I need to do enough, build enough, have enough so that I feel as if I'm enough, that lie is going to serve you wrong every time. And that's what I was chasing after. I was chasing after, if I'm honest, I thought, man, if I would succeed enough, maybe that success would feel like what it would feel like if I heard my dad say, "I'm proud of you."
Now he's a teenager.
Yeah.
So he doesn't even know how to be a dad.
Right.
But why are you ignored? Like, why don't you have a relationship with him?
Yeah, I think it was, that's how shame works, and I think it's easy to become apathetic towards him in retrospect, thinking like, why did he maliciously choose not to be my father? But the reality was he got married, when he was like 17, 18, and then started another family. And then, me being in physical proximity, he would see me here and there. And maybe he tried to connect a few times along the way, but never stuck, And so I think it's just the reality of he didn't know how to say what he wanted to say. And then because of shame, the way it works, it went from I don't know what to say to seemingly it's impossible to say anything at all.
So you're growing up, like, whether he meant it or not, you're feeling like a cancer, like somebody that's like, I'm not, something's wrong because he won't love me. He won't hug me. He won't tell me I'm valuable. And what is that? How's that fleshing out for you as a young teenager?
Yeah, my life was built around basketball. It was like all things basketball. And then at 13, I saw porn for the first time.
Okay.
And then never having a conversation about sex, intimacy, relationships, anything like that. Average age of exposure right now, 8 years old. I saw it at 13, and I didn't really know how to feel about what I saw, but I was intrigued, but I knew I shouldn't look. And then I began to think, man, maybe if I reenact what I see, I'll feel the emotions I don't. So that was another part of my conquest. It was like basketball, fitness, good grades, and girls. And that just became another part of, if I'm accepted or I succeed in these areas, it would mitigate the wound I have in another area. Yeah. And that would just kind of, that took me into college, and, you go into a fraternity and there's less accountability because I'm not, near my mom, and then I'm doing all this stuff, and just kind of spiral, out of control. And then all of a sudden I find myself in Hollywood, California with access to everything.
Yeah. So I want to take a break for a second, because conversations like this one that I'm having with Joshua are reminding me of how real mental health actually is. And when you hear someone talk honestly about depression or suicidal ideation or anything along those lines, it's a reminder that faith doesn't cancel the need for real care. And it's one of the reasons why I'm extremely grateful for Talkiatry. And Talkiatry's 100% online psychiatry practice practice that provides comprehensive evaluations, diagnoses, and even ongoing medical management for conditions like anxiety, depression, ADHD, bipolar disorder, OCD, PTSD, insomnia, and more. Unlike therapy-only apps, Talkiatry is psychiatry. So that means you're meeting with licensed medical providers who can actually diagnose what's going on and prescribe medication when it's appropriate. And the best part is that over 600 clinicians are in network with major insurances. So you can use your insurance instead of paying out of pocket. And getting started is going to take a few minutes for you. You're going to complete a short assessment, and then you can be seeing a psychiatrist in days, not months. Over 300,000 people have already found care through Talkiatry. And if this episode hits close to home for you, I need you to head over to talkiatry.com/Lecrae, complete the short assessment, and get matched with an in-network psychiatrist in minutes. Okay, that's talkiatry.com/Lecrae. Is there a heartbreak that happens before? Because I just think of my story, right? Like, I didn't start off an objectifier. I became an objectifier of women, right? I didn't start off seeing them as just like transactional.
Yeah.
I started off like really like in love with a particular young woman.
Yeah.
And then she was older than me and was kind of like, this is just an exchange. And she ended up sleeping with one of my friends.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wait, I thought we were a thing. And that like light bulb went off like, oh, I don't need to give my heart to these girls.
Yeah.
You know, like, how did that, because you don't just go from, I got a girlfriend in high school to I'm an adult film star. Like,
Right.
Talk to us about that process, that breakdown.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't think anyone's ever asked me that. I think it was like the porn was part of it, like the watching of the porn, and then, you know,
Desensitizing yourself.
that, and also having an appetite for something I didn't understand how to navigate. That's why, you know, the Bible talks about not awaking lust until it's a time, you know, a certain time. It's like, man, I had an appetite for something I didn't know how to navigate. And then I had access to things and I didn't have any accountability. And I think on top of that, there was a moment where my mom got married for a very short period of time. And in that short period of time, this man was, you know, hard drugs, physically and emotionally abusive to my mom. And I remember one day, there was a dream I was sharing with you about, and this kind of where it started, where I was pushing on this door because I heard an altercation, and I couldn't get the door quite open. And then as I'm pushing the door open, there's a dresser pushed against the door, and then I got it cracked open just enough, and I saw this man hitting my mom. And I couldn't get the door open, no matter how hard I tried. And then the same whisper in my ear from Satan that when I was looking across the street at the dad I didn't have access to, that said that I was insignificant or not good enough. And then he's like, well, how would I identify myself? Well, at least I'm my mother's son. I know that to be true. And now I can't even protect the thing that I say is most important to me. So I go, that's why the balance of guilt and shame is so important. Guilt is, I did something wrong. Guilt is, I am something wrong. And the shame of me not being able to protect my mom, you know, I was like 9, 10 years old. I don't know. I think that just made me not care about anything. That life is meaningless. And I think I don't think I was malicious in my my transactional pursuits with girls, but I think it was just I wanted to stop hurting. And
if you care, you hurt. So if you can numb it, even though you're not really getting rid of those feelings, you're just stuffing them down.
Yeah, I mean, that's why pornography works so well, because it numbs what you don't want to feel. It covers up what you want to hide. It'll never reject you.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think that played a big part in my thinking in that way. It just became a conquest and a transaction, and I'm like, man, no one's going to have feelings for me anyway. And even if they said they would, like, you know.
Right. Now I'm sure you were an athletic young guy. You're an attractive young guy. You knew, like, when did you know, like, hey, I'm a good looking dude. I need to be a model or an actor or something like.
Yeah,
what?
I mean, so it's like, like old school. Like I was walking through the mall with my mom and was in like model searches. Someone stopped me. It's like, oh, you could do some stuff for Colgate or whatever.
Okay.
And there was this. Her name is Donna Ehrlich, and she had a modeling agency somewhat close to where I live. So in Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay.
And she just like took me under her wing, and all of a sudden I started getting opportunities, and was working with a voice coach, because I used to say like Mater, Tater, Yonder, Winder, stuff like that. And I'm like, we gotta clean that up.
Okay. I made a miter.
Yeah.
Miter.
Yeah.
I'm going Yonder.
Yeah.
But anybody who follow your story knows, like, Raquel Reed was your adult film star name.
Yeah.
But before Hollywood, right? Before Raquel Reed, what did you believe about yourself? Right? This woman is like, you can model. Like, what were you pursuing? What were you chasing? What were you trying to prove, and to who?
I think I was trying to be significant. And I think the way that I was trying to be significant is like, through my creativity, I can make you feel something, whether it be telling a story, whether it be creating a project that looks aesthetically beautiful. I think I was like trying to like manifest beauty outside of myself. And I thought maybe the aesthetic would help something deeper. But what did I think about myself? It's funny. It's like I think it was this like false, not even false humility. I would have probably been perceived as prideful, but I was so insecure. It's like I wanted to be perceived in a certain way. Yeah. But if you stripped it back, I'm this scared little kid that his daddy didn't want. Like no matter what, no matter how big I'm winning, no matter what I'm doing, at the end of the day, it's like I'm that kid that got looked over. And I think I just didn't want to feel that, and I wanted to prove both him and myself wrong.
So, and I can relate 10,000%. My dad abandoned me. I want to prove that I'm valuable. Yeah. So I'm a high achiever. I'm gonna be great. I'm gonna win talent shows. I want to be the desire of all girls. I want to be the somebody everybody wants to be like, and I'm chasing this thing. Yeah. Because if you celebrate me, that means I'm something. Yeah. Right. Didn't know I was something before I came out the womb. Right. Yeah. Yeah. But you're literally getting you're getting celebrated. You got a modeling agency. You get out to Hollywood, and the modeling is working, the acting is not as much, right? Yeah, it's like I got onto the improv, and so I was training in the improv, which was a big deal, and I was getting opportunities. But it's like once you are established in modeling, it's like they look at your resume, and it's like, okay, yeah, this guy will work. But acting, very different. You got to develop a reel, you got to audition, another audition. So it's like, modeling was so much easier to be successful at in contrast to acting. And I think that even though I had really great drive, fear stopped me from trying harder, because modeling was just like opportunities were coming left and right. But acting, you had to grind it out a little more. You had to want a little more, had to do a little more. So I think even though I would have said, it was true, that my desire was to be more successful at acting, like that would be more so my passion. Modeling just kind of came hand in hand with that, and that was something that was easy for me to be successful for. So it was something I just leaned into. And then when you're in Hollywood, when are you getting to the place where you're realizing like the thing you thought you were after, I think the thing you thought would make you seen actually made you invisible. Yeah. Right? Like, when are you getting to that place?
Yeah, I mean, the person that represented me, like, also represented Tyson Bedford. So it's you know, when like you're in the room with him, it's like you're being overlooked. You know, when you think you're somebody, it's like, man, I think that, but also like I never really gave up because I mean, I didn't turn to do adult films because like I was failing in any way.
Got you.
Like I was winning. Like I had a spot at the bottom of, you know, Laurel Canyon right before it turned into Crescent Heights on Sunset, like on the corner of Sunset. I loved my roommates. I loved my life. You know, I had money in my bank account. There was no reason. Like a lot of people who end up where I ended up, you know, there was a financial pressure or significant sexual abuse. None of those things were true of me. Someone just came up to me and was like, hey, I mean, probably people know the story, but three girls came up to me. They were headhunters for the porn industry. And they were like, they would go out on Friday and Saturday nights looking for
good-looking girls?
Good-looking, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Like, these three gorgeous girls come up to me like, hey, would you ever consider doing porn? I'm like, what? You know? Well, I was just trying to get your number and maybe like hang out. Like, what? Like, what are you talking about? And like, oh, it's like we're associated with this agency. If you want to meet with our agent, we can set up a meeting. And I was just like, this is like the craziest thing I ever heard. But I mean, I just wanted to holler at the girls. And, and then just kind of what they said started marinating my mind. And I had the card. So I called the number and he was like, yeah, just come by.
You're 22.
Yeah.
So your frontal lobe is like still.
Oh yeah. barely flickering. And but I said in my head, I'm like, man, if I get here and I get to the spot and it's like, you know, like a Motel 6 and it's like weird dude like picking lint out of his belly button, it's like I'm gonna bounce, you know. But I think in the same way, like Satan can't create anything, but he's really good at counterfeiting things. And I walk in this spot, and it's adjacent to Universal Studios. It's in Studio City, and it's like you got all the Beamers and Bentleys in the parking garage, and they bring me through there. And then I walk down this hallway, and very similar to my modeling agency, where it's like if you've been on the cover of Men's Health or GQ, it's up on the wall to celebrate the talent you represent. So I'm walking through the wall, and all of a sudden, you know, it's Playboy and Hustler and all the stuff, and it's like it's obscene, but strangely familiar at the same time. Yeah. And then I sit down and talk with this guy, and he cut straight to the chase, and he's like, I want to ask you 3 questions. How did you grow up? What are you doing in LA? And what do you hope to accomplish? And in retrospect, how did you grow up? Should have been a red flag. Because it was a value proposition. It's like, hey, what, you know, is there any aspect of your life that contains, you know, brokenness? Is there brokenness within your family dynamic? It's like, yeah, I just grew up, you know, I said, well, I just grew up me and my mom. And he's like, you know, perfect. And I'm like, I'm in LA trying to, you know, be in this creative space, modeling, act, produce, all this stuff. And I guess I want to be famous. And I think that's so interesting because if you think about like being famous and being rich, there's no metric attached to those. Like there's no way of like truly accomplishing that. Like you could accomplish like a goal you set in those parameters. Right. But what does it mean to be rich? Like what does it mean to be famous? Like how many followers, how many labels, like how many deals, like what do you need to have to equate to that, you know, definitive achievement of that thing? And there's not one. Yeah. So if you strive after something that's vapor, what you'll find is vapor. Yeah. But I didn't believe that. I thought my idea of what I would feel like was attached to stuff, status, and praise. So he right off the jump, he's like, you know, you've got acting background. They're in the beginning of parodying all these movies. You'll be the lead in all these roles, and I'll make sure you're working all the time. We can chart, you know, you'll have a high rate and all this stuff. Like you'll be the guy, you'll be rich. You can have and do whatever you want. Yeah. And when he was saying that, not one part of me was like, yeah, let's go. Right. You know, it was like, man, what if this is as close as I can get to what I actually want, but I'm not good enough? You know what I mean? Because I wanted to be an actor.
Yep.
But what if I wasn't good enough? And I think there's so many times where you never know what you could do if you don't step out in faith.
Yeah.
Like Peter would have never walked on water if he didn't get out of the boat.
That's right. That's right.
So there's so many times in your life, it's like, man, just, you're like, don't give up. Like, keep going. Like, it doesn't matter how many times you fail. If God puts something on your heart that you're gifted at and people around you affirm it, just because you fail a few times along the way, don't give up. But it's so easy to give up. And I think I did not have the capacity to keep trying because I truly didn't believe in myself.
That's what I was going to say. Like you mentioned Peter, and it's like, it wasn't like Peter was like, God, I don't think you can keep me up. I think he didn't believe in himself. He was like,
his confidence, he was fully confident in Jesus.
Right. But I don't think I am good enough to do what you're doing. Like, what? Because opportunity knocked for you in this realm. What do you think it was providing you emotionally? Because if you're doubting, what is this saying to you? Because you're obviously not contemplating the consequences of all of this.
Not at all.
But what is it, like, what do you think it is promising you emotionally? Not just financially, but just like, what is this giving you?
Yeah, I mean, I think in that moment, I was just sitting across from a man saying, you got what it takes. You know what I mean?
Just to have a man affirm you. Yeah, bro.
A man look you in the eye and say, I see something in you.
Yeah. And even though it's not good, it's an affirmation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I see something in you and you can be successful because you got what it takes. And I'll be cheering you on the whole time. I'll be right by your side.
Man, that's tough because it's really manipulating your brokenness.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
People ask me associated with, human trafficking or sex trafficking, the way that you identify those things is force, fraud, coercion. Those are the three primary elements that are foundational in both of those things. And people would ask me, does that exist within the porn industry? No, it doesn't exist. It's the foundation of it. It can't exist without it.
We're talking about a lot in this episode that has to deal with fatherlessness, and I've been trying to be a good father. And so one of the things that I've done is make sure my kids get good rest and that I get good rest. And I don't just mean sleep, I mean recovery. That's why I love Brooklyn Bedding. I got my son a Brooklyn Bedding mattress. It is handcrafted in their Arizona factory. There's no middlemen, there are no gimmicks, just quality materials and intentional design. He sleeps like a champ, as do we. And listen, they understand that sleep is not a one-size-fits-all thing. So they offer mattresses for every body type and every sleep style. My son is 5'8", I'm 6'4". Even hard to find sizes. So if you sleep hot, their Glaciotex covers and Copperflex foam make a real difference. And they back it all with a 120-night comfort trial. So there's no pressure. If you're ready to invest in better sleep, go to brooklynbedding.com and use my promo code Lecrae for 30% off site-wide. That's brooklynbedding.com, promo code Lecrae. I am telling you the truth. It's awesome. So I want to like talk about some of the things that I think people don't know. Yeah. Right. Like, I mean, you talk a lot about this, but I think there's still a layer that doesn't get peeled over the top. I just saw Drewski sitting courtside, comedian Drewski sitting courtside with an adult film star. Yeah. And she's like, I'm living it up. And he's like, I got the good looking girl. Yeah. What is it that allows a person to not feel shame, but to almost be proud? Like, what do you think is going on in the minds, or what was going on in your mind that could even allow someone to feel like I'm good? Yeah. I'm golden.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's the same thing of like anything you do that is bad, but it feels good. It stops feeling bad eventually. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I think like there's this aspect of searing your consciousness, but also to be successful, and in a way, you have to suppress reality. Because, I mean, it was no coincidence that agent said, okay, I'll make you famous. I'll make you rich. You'll be the most popular guy. What do you want to change your name to? Because if I can get you to distance yourself from your humanity, that you'll say yes to something you know you should say no to. And, you know, the first day I ever walked on set, it's like, you know, it's strangely familiar. I walk on set, you know, I fill out paperwork. There's catering. There's, you know, the makeup room. You know, there's someone shooting BTS, and you know, and at the end of the hall, there's this girl that's surrounded by lights, and she's shooting a film, and this PA comes up to me, and he's like, "Hey, I understand it's your first day. Here's a Viagra. Take it if you want. It's in your hand. It's yours. We need you in 30 minutes."
So the Viagra is what allows you to, because obviously you're nervous. You're not like, oh yeah, let's yeah. So that's another probably misconception, is that you all are excited and enticed, and this is going to be she's a gorgeous. Like, what is really going? Well,
the lie is that at any point there's legitimate connection. Like she's like she's shooting, you know, by herself or whatever, and then you just walk into frame. There's no like conversation prior to, like, the only thing I know about her is that she's got a clean like AIDS and STD test, because like part of the filling out the paperwork, you gotta, you know, it's like, okay, this ID matches this test. Okay, this is when her test expires. You gotta get a new test every 21 days. So it's just like there was that, but there was no conversation. And then you walk into camera, and it's like, you know, like a good fight scene, Inception, you know, like that fight scene in the elevator, crazy. You wouldn't watch that fight scene and think that was legitimately reality. You would think there's been some CGI, some editing, you know, some choreography that happened, you know, it had been altered in post. And the same thing, there's a director telling two people who are broken, but they're being compensated to be there, and he's directing everything that's happening. And it's like there's start, you know, there's a cut, and let's adjust this. And I need some water. This is hurting. And, you know, she's using numbing cream. You're using erectile dysfunction medication. Because a scene could go on, you know, 2-3 hours. Make sure they get their set. But also, it's like you think that, you know, when the girls, you know, looking into the camera, you think it's like you're locked into their eyes. Like, no, like there's a camera on your shoulder, and you're moving out of the way. You're moving out of the way to get out of the screen, and there's this facade. There's this, you know, this trick that you think that person is looking at him, but she's just looking at a camera. It's completely disconnected from connection. Yeah. So to do that, and to be able to do it successfully, you got to be on another planet. Yeah. And it's got to be nothing to do with her and everything to do with performance.
So this is what's crazy to me, right? Like, because you actually painted a picture really, really well. What's crazy to me is that what God calls one of the most intimate spiritual acts. Yeah. You all are numbing yourself to that reality so that you can just get the job done. Yeah. There's no connection. There's no understanding of the spiritual realities at play. There's none of that. It's just like Rocco and Cindy. Yeah. And then it's like you're engaging in something super spiritual, super intimate. Yeah. But your brain is just trying to get your job done. I'm curious, when you leave and you go home, man. Right now there's the beginning stages where I don't know. I'm thinking of like three people in my mind, right? Yeah. I'm thinking of character one is like, yo, that's crazy. I can't believe I did that, and that's wild. I'm thinking of character two who's like, that was weird. Like, what was that? I'm thinking of character three who's like, I don't even know. I don't know what this means, right? Like,
yeah, I think I was all three. Okay, I was all three of like, man, this is crazy. I can't believe I did this. And then after the fact, I was like, that was super weird. You know, because like you think, oh, this is like sexy or whatever. It's like, no, it's like there's camera A, camera B, camera C. There's someone shooting BTS, and then more often than not, like the girl's got someone like if she's got a pimp, he's standing in the corner watching, and then sometimes there's like a random person like standing, you know, snacking on catering, you know, someone in the corner eating Doritos, like you're watching your favorite show, and it's completely arbitrary. Like no one, for the most part, you know, there's exceptions to this, but for the most part, it's not like people around are like perving out. It's strangely arbitrary.
It's work.
It's another day at the office because they're probably shooting 5 scenes that day, and they just over and over and over and over again, and so I mean, I'm just thinking about how like the last day, or I'm sorry, the first day. I remember I had like lube like on the hair of my legs, and I couldn't get it off. I like took a shower afterwards, and I just like, even if it was gone, I still felt it. I just felt gross in a way. And man, have you seen Redeeming Love?
The movie?
Yeah,
a long time ago.
Well, there's a in this movie. You know, the girl is, you know, a prostitute, and then she comes out of that life, but then she goes back into it because her heart, it's when there's peace and quiet, when she's with that dude, it's the most terrifying thing she's ever experienced because she had never experienced quiet. Like peace is terrifying if you've never experienced it. And chaos is comfort. And she goes back into the chaos. And she did the thing that she said she would never do again. And she's in this stream, and she's got a rock, and she's scrubbing her arm and scrubbing her body, and what she's trying to wash off is not skin deep.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, man, that was me. That was me. I was in the shower, and what I was trying to wash off of me was not on my flesh.
Yeah.
It was on my soul.
It's so interesting to me, man, because every guy, I mean, you've done over 1,000 of these films. You won awards, all this type of stuff. And I think guys on the outside looking in are like, man, you got to do this and you got to do that. And man, that's amazing. Like, bro, like, man, I love that woman. And you casually got to be with her. Yeah. But you're not seeing it that way. And then there's an internal turmoil as well. And and in a small way, I can relate. And I'm just tell you my small way is I remember a night my friend and I were drunk. We're on this main drag in Dallas, matter of fact. And he's like, yo, it's prostitutes over here. I'm about to get one of them. And he solicits a prostitute. They do their thing in the car. And I was like, I wonder. And another night I'm by myself. I'm super drunk. And I'm like, I'm going to grab one of them. And we go up to the bedroom. And I'm so, like, in my mind, I'm just drunk and let's do this. Let's get this over with. But something is internally bothering me to where I can't perform. Like, I'm like, I'm sorry. She's like, what's wrong with you? You got a girlfriend? You got a wife? What's going on? I said, I don't know. Yeah. But it was something in me that I couldn't even understand. And I'm like, I got to pay this girl and tell her to leave. Yeah. And I'm wondering, like, what is that, like, did you recognize, like, there's something spiritual or something here that's not right? When are you starting to realize that?
Yeah. So, I mean, there was a girl I dated for a long time in the industry, and she was very well known, and so was I. And what comes with that is more often than not, you know, you become friends with people in your work environment. And so I was friends with a couple of dudes in the industry. When I was in the industry, very different than today, because like there was like 30 dudes that did that for their career. There were like 30 established dudes because the director, he's footing the bill for everything. So like the director is getting, you know, a check from producer once the director hands him a finished film. So the director's, you know, he's renting a spot. He's paying for permits. He's paying for the female talent. He's paying for, you know, the sound, lights, all, you know, all the stuff. And the guy is the only person that is not guaranteed to get paid, because if the guy can't do his job, then he just lost 20, 30 grand of production. Everybody's getting paid but the guy. But the guy caught. So the director would just hire the same people over and over and over again. If I can trust you to get the job done, I'm going to hire you every time.
Yeah.
So there was this, because of proximity and time, I was friends with these guys. And then I was sitting at dinner, and we were at Mastro's in Beverly Hills, and we were sitting there, and I had had sex with his girlfriend 2 days ago, and he had had sex with my girlfriend that day. And we're both saying that we were in monogamous relationships. Like if someone would even look at her when we were out and about, or like try to grab at her because of who she was, like, I'm the jealous boyfriend.
Wow.
But suppressing the reality that we're both having sex with multiple partners multiple times a month. But so with our lips, we would proclaim we're in a monogamous relationship. But the reality is that's absolutely not true.
Yeah.
And I think when you suppress reality, chaos is inevitable. And I think that's what began to happen in me. And all of a sudden, like, stuff that never bothered me started bothering me. And then the fix for that in the industry is this stuff called caberjack, and it's for paraplegic. You shoot a needle into the cavern of your junk, and you're good to go for 4 hours no matter what. And then you become dependent on that, and then all of a sudden you can't use it without it. And then it's just like when in the middle of that, man, it's just like, dude, what am I doing?
How does it? How are you able to, like, cut scenes over with, but you're dating somebody, and like how emotionally? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just like, because there's this belief that Raquel Reed and Joshua Broome, that's not something that you call me. These are two completely different people. It's almost like you have to develop a split personality, and that I have nothing to do with this person, and this person has nothing to do with me. Because if you can't completely detach the two, you can't be successful at what you do.
Yeah. Now, is it difficult to be emotionally available? Is it difficult to like be intimate, like just to feel a sense of like, because you're doing this ritualistically, 1,000 films.
Yeah, I mean, it was weird. I mean, so weird. It's like if we were to like be intimate, you'd be like, well, we can be intimate, but I can't have an orgasm because I gotta save it, and wow, just such a weird time in my life, and then obviously like you're not emotionally healthy, and you're not emotionally available, and like going out is like, let's go get a table and a bottle, let's be around people, because man, I tell you what's scary. For me at that point in my life, I performed in England in theaters in front of 10,000 people, like a live, like they would have like a theater that was full of people, and they'd have a live performance. Yeah. Wow. And it'd just be like, that would just be, a Tuesday at the office for me. But if a man would look me in the eye and shake my hand, messed me up.
Why is that?
Because I felt like you saw me. If someone would like say my real name, because I like towards the end of the time in the industry, no one was calling me Joshua.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you know that part of my story, but like I went almost 18 months where
Raquel Reed
was the only person, like Joshua Broome didn't exist.
Yeah.
Because my mom and anyone that cared about me was like, okay, this was one thing at first. Like my fraternity brother was like, oh, that's cool, man. And then all of a sudden it's been a few minutes. And then, there's outbreaks of HIV and people are dying left and right. There's 47 people that should be in their early 40s with a career and a family and something. 47 people have died of suicide or overdose that were my friends. Like, not people that I knew about, not people who were in the industry. So many more people than that, but people that I knew and sat across from tables and knew their real names.
Yeah.
And when they die, there's their PR group says, this is how many scenes they did. This is what they were known for. And and their AKA is their real name.
Okay. I'm sitting here with Joshua Broome. He's a big guy. I'm a big guy. And we work out pretty heavily. Now, between work, family, and everything else that life throws at me, dinner is a stress point. And so Every Plate has become clutch in my household. Every Plate is budget-friendly meal kit designed for busy families. Ingredients come pre-portioned. The meals are ready in about 30 minutes, and the cleanup is way easier than starting from scratch. They got comfort-forward meals, more chicken options, more veggie-forward dishes, and a bigger mix of global flavors. So nobody's gonna be bored at the table. And honestly, it's made weeknights a lot smoother. It's why I'm so big, because I eat healthy with Every Plate, just being honest. So what I want you to do is I want you to try Every Plate for $2.99 per meal on your first box, plus free steak for a month. Protein at everyplate.com/podcast. Use the code Lecrae Steak. That's everyplate.com/podcast. Code is Lecrae Steak. Eat well. Let's get back to it. Talk a little bit about that. Like, are there ever any conversations or discussions internally about how dark you feel or low you feel? Like 40 some people are taking their lives or overdosing. Are there ever combos about like, something's not right? You know what I mean? Is that ever happened? I remember being in college, and this is, you know, after the failed attempt at prostitution story. And I remember being at Mardi Gras with a bunch of friends, and one of my friends was drunk, and he looked at me and he said, I think my soul is getting taken, man. And it was like, you feel that way too? It was the first time I ever heard someone verbalize, but I'm just curious, like, was there ever discussions or you guys talking about this?
Yeah. I mean, I think also, like, as a man, like, I didn't know how to be a man. And I thought, and many people might think, that the way that you have to carry yourself as a man is that I have to pretend like I'm okay when I'm not okay. And if I were ever to say I wasn't okay, that would be me exhibiting weakness. And I think in that industry, if you flinched, you know, you would be perceived in some sort of way, or at least you thought you would be.
Okay. So you're guarded.
Yeah, it's just yeah. And I'm gonna say something heavy.
That's what you're here for.
So in the middle of, well, not in the middle, towards the end. So in 2011, like the agent that I had, you know, every porn agent is also he runs like an escorting ring. So escorting is just a fancy word for prostitution. But they condition you to think, man, if there's a check involved, it's all good. And so I was introduced to this opportunity to go to Paris, and I was going to bartend shirtless at this spot, and I was going to get like $50K for it. And I was like, okay, go to Paris for a few days. I'm just working one night. You know, I'll go out, like whatever. Great. And I ended up getting drugged and raped at this party. And I never told anybody. And then, you know, recently this person gets prosecuted, you know, and I was one of over 1,000 people that this happened to. And but I share that to say, like, when that happened, I had people who I was real close friends with, but there was no way I was going to tell anybody that. And just the way that played out in my life, because I chose not to tell anyone that, just dove deep into suicidal ideation and just thought, man, even though it wasn't what I wanted to happen to me, because it did happen to me, that defined an aspect of me. And now my only path forward is to live in the reality that had happened to me. And the only way that I saw forward was to die. And that's when I really started to struggle with suicidal ideation. But I think there's so many people that want to leave the industry. Like everyone on that list, I said, you know, there's 40 plus people. Many of them left the industry. Like my friend Cagney, she left the industry. She bought a dance studio, and she wasn't running it. Just dance was something that was important to her when she was a child, and she bought a dance studio in Ohio where she grew up. And but then someone got wind of who owned it, and they started blasting their Facebook and Instagram page and calling the parents like, "Don't you know who owns this?" And then even though she wasn't doing what she used to do anymore, she couldn't get away from who she was. And then she posted on Instagram this picture of her on the beach smiling. And she said, "I can finally smile." And then she went to her hotel room and shot herself.
Oh,
And that story is horrific and heart-wrenching, but that's hundreds of other people's stories.
Yeah.
Where they didn't, man, it reminds me of there was this Navy SEAL who was on Sean Ryan. I forget his name, but he lived as a transgender for a minute. And they were like, I just can't. I knew you as a Navy SEAL, and you're like this like assassin. Like what made you want to be a woman? And his response was, "I never wanted to be a woman. I just didn't want to be me."
You're tapping on the front door of something. Because I think when people are running from who they are, or their perception of who they are, and then when they ultimately say, "I'd rather end my life because of things that have happened to me," you're tapping on the front door of a very demonic tool. Called shame. Right? Like evil loves to use shame. Like ironically, even as we were talking, like I've never told my failed prostitution story publicly before. And in the back of my mind, it's like, oh man, now what's gonna happen and this and this. And I was like, no, we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and the power of our testimony. And so I don't care. You know what I mean? Like I do, but God be with me to not, because that frees other people. How did you fight Satan's attempt to just use shame to ruin your life?
Yeah, I mean, I walked into a bank and I was committed to taking my life. I tried multiple times, but like, it's so interesting. My dependence on other people's opinions of me were so strong that I needed someone to convince me to take my own life. And the way that I was going to do that is I was going to go into a bank and I was going to deposit a check. And I wouldn't go into a bank and hand a check to a teller. I would go ATM, Dropbox, mobile deposit, anything other than that, because on the memo of the check, it was clearly articulated what I was being compensated for. And the person that was writing the check, they would write the most grotesque, antagonistic stuff just to poke at you, because it's all about chipping away at your humanity. And a broken person is an easily manipulated person. But on this day, I was like, I want exactly what I thought would happen. And I go in and I hand the check to this teller, and she says nothing. And I just begin to weep. And it was the middle of the day, and it's like not really that many people in there. So she comes around the corner and puts her hand on my shoulder and says, "Joshua, are you okay? Joshua, can I get you some help?" And that was the first time I heard my name in almost 18 months. And I was just like, man, I need to call my mom, because I stopped answering the phone, not because I didn't want to talk to her, because I knew what she was going to say. You're better than this. I love you, but you're better than this. And I didn't believe I could change. And so I called her, and she lit me up when I called her. But she's like, "Hey, I'm always gonna be your mom. You're always gonna be my son. You're better than this. Please come home." So I did, and then I tried to build another kingdom. I worked in the health and fitness industry, and worked my way up to the top, and found I got the right credentials and found the right mentors, and did all the same thing again. And I met this girl, and I was just like, man, if she knew me, she wouldn't want anything to do with me. So we were out on this run, and I was just like, hey, I'm this kid that his daddy didn't want, and I've done all this stuff to try to overcome that, and I've done all this pornography, and it's on the internet for the world to see. This is who I am. Expecting her to walk off, slap me, I don't know. And she paused, rightly. That was an abrasive thing to hear. And then she looked at me and said, "Hey, I want you to know that you are not defined by the worst thing you've ever done. And you won't be defined by the greatest thing you ever do. Because you are not the author of you. God is. Do you know him?" And I wanted to say yes, and maybe even I would have thought I was a Christian, maybe, because I there was a Bible in my house at some point, and
you do the rituals.
I grew up in the South, and went to VBS when I was a kid, all that stuff. But I didn't know what to say. And then she was like, "Well, I'm not perfect, but I've been walking with Jesus since I was in the 7th grade, and he's the foundation from which I live my life. What kind of food do you like?" I was like, "What?" And she started asking me questions about my family and my life and my preferences, and I'm just like, why are you still here? And what began to just pull at me was, what if she's right? What if I'm not defined by who I didn't have and the things that I've done?
Yeah.
What if that's true? And she invited me to church, and I heard the gospel. And I think it's so interesting the way that God meets you, because it was what was being preached is 2 Samuel chapter 9, and there's this interaction between David and Mephibosheth and Ziba, and ultimately David, who he invites Mephibosheth into his kingdom. Mephibosheth was the son of Jonathan. He had this friendship with Jonathan. Jonathan was the son of Saul, and Mephibosheth was the son of the son of Jonathan. So he was next in line to be king. So Saul and Jonathan, they die, and he's hiding because he historically next in line to be king from a previous kingdom with an existing kingdom. That person's hunted down and killed, and he's hiding because he thinks his destiny is death. And David invites him into this kingdom. He's like, "Hey," he finds him, "I'm going to restore your grandfather's land. I'm going to invite you into my kingdom. I'm going to give you a seat at my table, not for a day, but forever." But Mephibosheth's response was, "What do you want with a dead dog like me?" And I was like, yes. I was like, grace sounds amazing for whoever that's for. And then, so interesting, we've been talking about shame. So, and then he goes to Hebrews 12:2. He's talking about Jesus being a pioneer, and the perfecter of our faith, and how it was with joy set before him that he endured the cross, scorning our shame. And it's just like, joy. Why would he have joy? And then I had a supernatural moment where, like I shared with you, there was a time in my life where there was an HIV outbreak, and I had unprotected sex with someone who contracted HIV and died. And I was left unharmed. And then as I'm hearing this and thinking man, could I have a relationship with God? And I just felt like the Spirit drawing me to himself. And then I experienced a tangible Romans 5:8, where God showed me in my blood where HIV was coming for me, and he stood before me. That, like Romans 5:8 is polarizing in that, man, it's like, would you die for a good person? Maybe, but what about an enemy? It's like, man, while we were yet still sinners, Christ died for us. Christ died for you, knowing the worst of you, and he met you in the middle of that. And it was then I realized that not only did I have a Father in heaven, vaguely, I had a Father in heaven that knew me deeply, that was willing to intercede in my life to the extent where he would save me in spite of me. And I think that was the catalyst for the beginning of undoing every story that shame had wrote in my life.
So I similar moment of salvation, scales fall off my eyes. God, you forgive me for all the wrong I've done. And I do think there was some supernatural healing that took place. Yeah. Right? Like, oh, shoot, I feel healed from a lot of the baggage that I think Satan wanted to tear me down from. But as time goes on, I realize, oh, there's some deeper things that
Oh, yeah.
I still haven't healed from, that God is
Yeah.
still healing me from.
Yeah.
And, you know, that young woman eventually becomes your wife.
Yeah.
Right?
And her name's Hope, which is
Hope.
pretty cool.
Yes. It's crazy. But, like, you know, how has Satan tried to rise up in this new marriage that you have with
Yeah.
your past?
Yeah.
Like, what lies do you begin to fight now as a husband who has this past of all these sexual exploits?
Yeah, I remember we had been. I think at this point we were engaged, and we were sitting in a co-ed Bible study, and a girl looked at my wife and said, "Can I ask you something?" You know, when someone asks, it's like, brace yourself. And she was like, "I just can't understand. How do you not have resentment in your heart towards him, knowing that if and when you have kids, there will be difficult conversations that you have? How do you not have resentment that maybe those images will always be on the internet? And how do you not feel, you know, how do you not wrestle with comparison, knowing all the people that he's been with? Like, how does that not bother you?" And she just said, "Well, I choose not to speak to myself the way that Satan does."
That's powerful.
And it's like going through, you know, premarital counseling, you talk about love languages, and, you know, mine is, you know, words of affirmation, touch, like most guys. And because, like, my wife, I feel like her family, if you turned like the Hallmark channel like on its side and like shook the TV, like that's what they would fall out, you know. And so like she grew up very secure in herself. So her primary love language is quality time. And I thought quality time was a quality experience, a quality gift, something of quality given by me. And it was so hard to wrap my head around the fact that what she wanted from me was me. You know, she wanted to, you know, sit at the end of a pier at night, and the water is completely calm, and there's no phones, there's no nothing, just me. Not out at dinner, not, you know, at a movie, not anywhere, just me.
Yeah.
An undistracted me. Like, the greatest gift that I could give her was my presence. And I think her needing that from me, but also me being able to see and hear from her that this is my greatest need from you. The way that you can love me best is not to do for me, not to give to me, but to be there for me. And when you don't see yourself as much, and then you hear that and you're trying to get there, and then you hear her say something like that,
Yeah.
it undoes something in you. So I think there has been many moments like that the way that she didn't react, she chose to respond, was healing in me.
For you.
And I remember we got pregnant for the first time, and we were running a CrossFit gym together at the time. So like the cute thing to do would be like, here, you know, take a picture. Like here's a big kettlebell, here's a medium kettlebell, and here's a baby kettlebell. You know, we posted that picture on social, and within 6 hours, someone had created a fake account with my picture and sent pornography to every single person on her friends list, like including like grandparents, sister, brother, mom, dad, like all of her friends. She taught at an elementary school, so all the teachers that she taught with, like anybody she was friends with, sent all this to. And it's like in that moment, it's like, either you're going to allow that to crush you, or you're going to combat it. And she just wasn't bothered by it.
You got a real one, bro.
Oh, dude.
You got a real one.
And she was like, well, if 2 Corinthians 5:17 says that the old is gone and the new is here, it's like, I don't know that man.
That's good. That's good.
So her suggestion to me is like, if I don't know that man, don't pretend like you're still that man.
That's good, man.
And I think it's like this duality. Man, I would love to get to a place where we can talk about this, because I'm so passionate about this. Because like in the healing, like God doesn't waste a thing. And it's like, if you could understand, like this is what Satan wants to keep you from. If you could understand who you could become in the most healed, anointed, transformed version of you that's walking in the Acts 1:8 boldness and authority that God has given you and the Holy Spirit dwelling within you, if you understood, if you could even grasp who you could become, you would laugh at every lie that Satan would throw at your way. So I think it's like, I want to share the nitty-gritty parts of my story and the healing parts. But it's just like, man, like in those moments, God is shaping you, and he's removing from you stuff that's holding you back from being who you could become.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I think it's a wild statement, but man, anyone in the porn industry that's in the top 5% of that industry, you would be more successful doing the thing that you were actually gifted at than you're doing now.
I don't think that's wild at all.
But I mean, that's just it's hard for those people to wrap their head around.
Yeah.
Because I mean, there's so many people that,
Because you weren't built for that.
yeah, but that's what they would say.
Yeah.
I'm living my best life, you know? And I think that's why a lot of people have a hard time, like who are still in the industry. It's like, Josh, I thought you were my guy, man. Like like I can't even, you know, when I'm in LA, it's like, I don't even want to like really hang out with you. We can get dinner, but it's like, man, I don't want to, you know, if a picture gets taken or whatever, it's like, man, you're frowned on, you know, in the industry because you speak so poorly about it. And it's like we live in a world where I can disagree with you, but if I disagree with you, I must hate you. But that's not true. So it's like, man, do I think you should be doing something different with your life? Yes.
Yeah.
It's not because I think less of you. It's actually I think more of you.
Right.
So do I despise the industry and would do anything to tear it apart? Yes. Do I hate one person in that industry?
No.
No.
Yeah, that's good.
And I think, and that's what I'm really trying to navigate.
But
through
shame will often make a person assume that others hate them or look down upon them.
But I think it's even deeper than that, in that because like when I jumped from the porn industry to the health and fitness industry, what I would say is I tried to put enough good dirt on my bad dirt so I didn't look dirty. What I was trying to do, I was trying to manage the perception of other people, because I truly thought that internally it was impossible for me to really change. So if I can't change, maybe I can put on a mask,
Right.
and look like I'm okay, so you tell me I'm okay, so I feel like I'm okay.
Yeah.
And in that industry, this was true for me and true for everyone I've talked to. You don't stay in that industry because you have to. Like, you truly believe there's nothing else you can do.
Yeah.
It's like, I can't leave.
Yeah.
And
I don't have another option.
This is not what I do. This is who I am.
Yeah.
And that industry, it's built on telling people you can't. Because on set, it's like, what are you going to put on your resume? Like, you're going to leave? You're going to, you're going to leave the industry? What are you going to put on your resume? Who's going to marry you? What would you tell your kids?
Who would ever understand?
Yeah. How could you ever do anything than what you're doing now?
God did.
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes a lot, man. Like, have you had to? I mean, you going from fatherlessness, father wounds, you know, being objectifying people.
Yeah.
You know, mental health challenges, suicidal ideation. What is the ongoing healing process for you look like? Like, what does that mean? Because if I'm somebody and I hear everything that you've experienced,
Yeah.
and I say, so if I just give my life to Jesus, then I'll be better,
Yeah.
right? Like what?
Yeah. Well, your salvation will be secure, and you will be better, but that your problems won't go away.
Okay.
Because you have disordered thinking, you've got bad habits, you've got lies that you've believed, and you know, I wrote a book last year. It's called 7 Lies That'll Ruin Your Life, and it was really about if you believe a lie to be true, it seems true to you, so you live out that lie. So there has to be this unearthing of lies.
That's good.
So there has to be a commitment to walking in integrity. There has to be a commitment to confession. There has to be a commitment to just recalibrating yourself. So there's a guy that I have a conversation with every Friday, and you know, it's like the good, the bad, the ugly. I just want to like, because as an extrovert, just for me, it's like when I'm processing out loud, it's like I did this, and he wouldn't say, "Man, it's messed up you did this," or he would say, "Well, what led you to make that decision?" That's a different question. So you got to internally like, man, because something I say often regarding anything, the depth of your confession will equate to the level of your healing. And
I like that.
And when people sit in circles like, man, I slipped up, went to the website. It's like, man, you pray for me. Like God will honor that. But to the person that says, man, I felt really hurt or disrespected by someone, and I got home and I felt lonely, and then I ended up going in my room and I got a tablet or my phone and I went to this website and then I put this in the search bar, and then I watched porn and I masturbated, and then I felt terrible about it, and I woke up at 1 a.m. and I actually did it again, and this has been a reoccurring behavior in my life for years, and I've never told anybody. Like that person is going to experience something drastically different than the person that said, "Me too."
That's good.
And I think in the examining, because you got to get someone to listen, in the examining of what was the emotion that you felt prior to that, what was the catalyst that drove you to the website, and then even on the website, what you put in the search bar, like those things are evidence of wounds that you're using porn as a Band-Aid to cover. So it's in the depth of my confession. Someone that's really listening to me is like, man, what I hear is you felt like you were alone. Is that something that's been happening for a while? And it's like, okay, I saw that you were looking for this sort of porn, man. That I think that kind of points to some woundedness in your childhood. Like, did you have a mom or a dad that wasn't there, or did you feel abandoned, or were you mistreated? And I think all of that, because porn has nothing to do with sex and everything to do with intimacy.
That's good.
And intimacy and sex, they don't always intertwine. In that, like intimacy can happen without sex, and sex can happen without intimacy.
What do you think people? What don't people know about the adult film industry?
It's a mirage. And like when you watch porn, if you've placed your faith in Jesus, if you watch porn, what you're seeing is the polar opposite of the sex that exists inside of a marriage bed. It's not similar to, it doesn't even look like it. It's not even, and it's like, man, if you have a desire to watch porn, I think that's the big thing. Like people who wrestle with porn addiction, they're not sex addicts. Like that might be a byproduct of the porn. That might be something else. But you don't desire to watch porn because you're crazy about sex. Your heart is longing for connection. The antidote for addiction is connection.
Connection. That's right. And coming from addicted family members, it's always a family trauma that is fueling a lot of that. So that's.
Yeah. So for me, it was, I went to counseling for a hot minute, and it's wild because I think by no means are we in a discipleship epidemic because everyone's being discipled by something.
Yes, right.
But we're being discipled by the world more than the word.
Yeah.
And for me, all I ever knew was like sitting across from a man and being discipled. And not only here's how to read the Bible, but this is what it means to navigate conflict. This is what it looks like to be a good husband. This is what it looks like to be a good friend. Like let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Yeah.
Like, this is what it looks like to walk in integrity. And he just walked with me. And I think him walking with me and him holding me to a standard that I was not yet ready to hold myself to, I think that's a large part of the healing that transpired. And my wife just like refused. She refused to give up on me.
Yeah.
And when I mean give up, like for the most part, it's just been a gradual uphill climb since I gave my life to Jesus. But there's been some bumps and bruises along the way. But man, I wish I could see myself the way that she sees me.
That's a blessing. I really feel like God gave you something special there. I feel like I get grace personified in my wife as well. I get really drawn to broken people because I've experienced a lot of darkness and done a lot of dark things in my past.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, especially like, Christians too, because a lot of times, obviously, it's connecting with non-believers. You can talk to them from a different vantage point, but connecting with believers, I think a lot of times believers will keep things on the hush because they're like, I'm supposed to be better than this.
Yeah.
And I tell people all the time, I say, man, I don't care if you're in a hotel room with strippers and you're doing cocaine, you can call me.
Yeah.
Like,
and I think you have to live that way.
Yeah.
Because it's like, how do you end up there? Well, you end up there because it was like small compromises over time.
That's right.
And to the person where, I get the opportunity. So I serve at a ministry called Walkworthy, and we got, podcast resources, all that stuff. But my calling is to help the church, the body of believers, understand what biblically what a healthy sexual ethic looks like, but also what does healing and transformation look like? What is the off ramp to not looking at pornography or not feeling desire to look at pornography or living in the chaos that pornography causes in your life? 52% of all the divorces that happened from 2022 to 2024 listed pornography as one of the primary catalysts for the divorce.
It's crazy.
So that's a secular stat.
52% is crazy.
And I mean, you look at pornography use like within the church, it's astronomical. So for me, it's like, man, if I can paint a picture of how dark it actually is, but also be a prime example of, man, purity is possible.
Right. Transformation is possible.
But purity does not look like, because like the virgin can be less pure than the prostitute.
That's right.
Because if you list your good deeds, on a spreadsheet, it's like, man, I haven't done this, but I've done that. Right. That's why it's so not as much anymore, but it used to be just diabolical for people to, it's like, man, they let you in their pulpit, they let you preach, and I just jokingly say like, hey, David, Moses, Saul,
Solomon.
I was like, man, I haven't killed one person. Not one. But even if I had, it's like, man, the Bible is full of sins.
Yeah.
That underneath the grace of God, they've been redeemed and transformed and then used by God. But yeah, man.
If we go full circle, you know, as we round it out, if we go full circle,
Yeah.
you started with this father wound that made you feel like you were worthless. You end up with a heavenly Father that gives you your entire sense of worth and being.
Yeah.
Now you are a father.
Yeah.
How does your story play into you being a father now?
Yeah. A lot to say about that, because I think to a certain degree, God was really with me in that, you know, supernaturally, it was like a Men in Black. When I gave my life to Jesus regarding memories, I cannot recount one sexual experience I've ever had outside of with my wife. That doesn't mean that I still had, bad, like disordered thinking,
Sure.
Objectify people, when even when I was a new believer, like those things I need to mature in those ways. But just time that passed, lust was something I didn't struggle with as much, but all of a sudden I found myself wrestling with rage. And I'm just like, what's going on? And then God woke me up at 3 a.m. a few nights in a row. And I was like, all right, Lord, what do you want to show me? What do you tell me? And it's like, you need to forgive your dad. It's like, man, what if reconciliation doesn't meet your expectations? Are you still willing to forgive? Like it's easy to forgive if you reconnect with your dad and he's like, man, I'm going to be a great dad to you. I'm going to cheer you on. I'm going to be a great grandpa to your kids. But what if you knew that when you extended an apology to this man that he still wouldn't show up? That makes the desire to forgive more difficult. Because if reconciliation is not going to match your expectations of what's going to happen, are you still willing to do it? And it's even after you do it, like forgiveness is not like a one-time event. It's a journey. So God brought me to that point. And of course, I say this to my wife, and just, this is just another example of who she is. Out of the blue, she just like puts a piece of paper down on my desk and she's like, hey, there's your dad's number. Call him. So I like go through my head, like, what I'm going to say and all that stuff. And when I finally call him, I had all this stuff like mapped out what I was going to say. I had my monologue ready. And what came out of my mouth was, I'm sorry for blaming you for every wrong thing I've ever done. It was the most true thing I ever said. Because I had the rage that was in me was that every wrong thing I had done, every not yet happened, conflict with my kids or images sent to my wife or all this stuff, it wasn't my fault. It was his fault.
That's right.
And when I let that go, man, that what came off of me. But even in that, my son, my oldest, I got a 7-year-old, and he's, 7-year-olds ask 5 million questions a day. And he would just be like, Dad, why don't you have a dad? Last Father's Day. I'm like, and I think what you do with that hurt, it matters. Because God has a plan for that hurt, and Satan has a plan for the hurt. And Satan's plan is for you to suppress it and you to superimpose it onto the people you love most.
Yeah.
That's that idea, like you bleed on people who didn't cut you.
That's right.
Like Satan wants you to be frustrated about something that has nothing to do with your family, and you take it out on your family. Because you just take out stuff that's, people who are closest to you. So it was going through that process that I was experiencing healing. But man, when our first son was born, I remember that he's born, and the nurse has him. He's got the little beanie on. He's like cone headed and still slimy. Like kind of cute but ugly looking. And the nurse was like, "You can touch him." And I go over there and I kind of reach out my hand, and as I'm reaching to touch him, he grabs my finger, and it just like rocked me. And I heard God whisper to me, "I love you more than that." Like what you feel, that you would do anything for him, that you would lay your life down for him. Yeah. That's something I put in you so you would understand how much more I love you. And they're just like memorial stone moments like that.
Yeah.
And even in like very like really like hard circumstances. I've got permission to share this. But a year ago we found out we were going to have another baby, and so my wife's super creative. She was going to put like in these balloons, she was going to put, here's a picture of Cannon, here's a picture of Lincoln, here's a picture of Judah, here's a picture of Abel, and here's the picture of this new baby we're going to have. You're going to pop, and you would see their face. And we did it pretty late. Like by the time she finished, it was getting late, and we're like, we'll open it in the morning. Well, that night, my wife miscarried.
Mm-hmm. Sorry.
And thank you. And then some time passes, and then Cannon was like, "What's in the box? What was in the box that you got? What was in the box?" And you have a choice. Either you say, "Don't ask about the box. We don't talk about the box." Or you lean into what's uncomfortable. And we said, "Hey, mommy had a baby in her belly, and that baby died. And because the gospel is true, we know that baby's in heaven." And that was a year ago this week, and to the day that Hope lost that baby, that we lost that baby, we just found out we were pregnant again.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
To the day.
I will be praying.
Yeah. But I think in that, it's like, well, you guys are telling people we don't live in fear.
Yeah.
So it's like, because what the enemy wants you to do is it's a right and respectful and an intellectually wise thing to do to navigate how fragile life
is. But at the same time,
how dare you not be excited
that's
for
right.
the blessing?
That's good.
So,
especially to the day.
So we won't live in fear.
Yeah.
And we will battle the duality of being excited and being afraid.
Yeah.
But fear won't rob us.
I love that.
Of a moment of joy. And I think it's just moments like that of, if you're willing to depend on God and trust God and step out and go through the refining fire, you come out different on the other side. And you just do that over and over and over and over again.
We're going to celebrate on that high note.
Yes, sir.
Man, I can't thank you enough for your story, bro.
Yeah.
Like the freedom that you offer others, the freedom that you've tasted, and big shout out to Hope.
Yeah.
That's the real MVP of this whole story.
It's true.
That's the real MVP.
True.
Man, we appreciate you, man. And I personally appreciate you. Thank you, man. Like,
Thank you.
This is powerful stuff.
Yeah. I mean, my big hope is like, man, if you're struggling with something, tell somebody.
That's good.
That's step one. Like, what do I do? 2,000 people a month reach out to me minimum. I love Jesus, but I'm struggling with this. It's like, man, have you really told somebody?
Yeah.
Like, have you not just like nodded or like me too, or if you maybe confess 99% of it, but the 1% that you haven't said that seems unmentionable is the 1% that's going to set you free.
Yeah.
So tell somebody, set some accountability in place, covenant eyes, all that good stuff. But man, you got to tell somebody.
Get
all
some
of
relationships, some community around you, man. That's it. That's good.
Yeah, and then you got to have people like Andrew Carter. Like I call it a Proverbs 27:6 friend, wounds of a friend. Because I mean, it was about 2 years ago when I was busy and stuff. He hit me up. He's like, "Man, you're killing it, man." And I appreciate it. He's like, you you don't look so good. You know, it's like your face
You
look
need
a little
those.
full, man.
You
Like
need
what?
those people.
What's up? You know, because it's easy to find people to pat you on the back, but it's difficult to find friends that'll tell you what you need to hear.
That's right.
And so it's like, man, find somebody to pour into you. Find someone that'll call you out and call you up. And man, whatever you haven't said out loud, maybe you confessed unto God and you've been forgiven, but you haven't confessed to another man or woman, and you're not healed. So,
Joshua Broome, thank you, brother.
thank you.
Fire.